465,000 Syrians are reported to have been killed or missing in Syria's 6-year civil war. Nearly 1/4 of these are presumed to be civilians. There are 5.5 million Syrian refugees in the world. 3.1 million refugees are registered in Turkey, which is the first refugee host country in the world. Şanlıurfa is a city of 2 million people in the southeast of Turkey. This historical and tourist town is also one of the main arrival hubs in the region for Syrian refugees. It's situated about 50 kilometers from the border. Over 1/4 of its population, 550,000 people, are registered as Syrian refugees. Fadi is from Raqqa and has lived in Şanlıurfa for the past 2 years.
Life was normal before the war in Syria. I worked as a taxi driver. I lived with my family and relatives. But when the war started, I saw bombings, airstrikes, and some things that nobody can stand. I decided to come here to Turkey.
The debit card Fadi is using is part of the Emergency Social Safety Net project. This is an EU cash-based program which is now supporting nearly 1 million of the most vulnerable refugees in Turkey. Launched a year ago, it's the biggest humanitarian aid project the EU has ever funded.
The money I get is 200 euros, as I have 5 kids. I receive 28 euros per person. With this money, I pay the rent, I buy tea, sugar, oil, meat, bread, and all we need.
Compared to other forms of aid, this card gives refugees the freedom to spend the money as they choose.
I took nearly 25 euros. I prefer to withdraw the money so that I know exactly how much I can spend. I can take these kinds of items and this money lasts about 1 week.
Syrian nationals in Turkey are not officially recognised as refugees. They are given temporary protection status with limited rights, including regulated access to the labour market. Contrary to belief, most of them don't get benefits. Only the most vulnerable are helped.
90% of the refugees here in Turkey don't live in refugee camps, but are in urban centres, usually in the suburbs, like here. Having an address, however shabby, potentially means having access to a wider range of aid.
Surya, 40 years old, is a mother of 7. She lives in an abandoned shop which is legally recognised as a housing residence. The card helps her pay for food, electricity bills and the 20 euros monthly rent.
Before I worked on the cotton farms and I had to leave my children in the tent. I got the card 7 months ago. Since then, I've stopped working and now I can take care of them.
The UN's World Food Programme and its partners support about 120,000 people in the province of Şanlıurfa. Systematic monitoring is crucial to determine if families are still eligible for the card and how they are spending the money.
Getting this information is important because it means that we can correct any mistakes that have been made, of course, but also we're gathering data so that we can make any adjustments that we need to make in the programme at a structural level.
The Emergency Social Safety Net project aims at reaching 1.3 million refugees by the end of the year. Financed by the EU Humanitarian Aid Office, it is implemented by the World Food Programme, hand in hand with the Turkish Red Crescent and the government of Turkey.
This project brings together the international humanitarian principles and the effectiveness and existing state structures. So this has allowed us to roll out a very effective project on such a large scale very quickly.
What is this project bringing more to the families?
This card can be a platform for many kinds of different aid that we want to provide to the beneficiaries. So we can provide a cash assistance to children who are going to school. We could bring in other for special events. So this really breaks the mold of traditional humanitarian assistance.
Refugees like Fadi represent over 30% of the Syrian refugee population now receiving regular social assistance in Turkey.